Welcome to another edition of the Litigation Psychology Podcast, brought to you by Courtroom Sciences. Dr. Bill Kanasky. Boy, if you're watching on the YouTube channel, what do you notice? Yes, completely remodeled podcast studio. Badass backdrop here. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple, you may have to log on to YouTube to see this amazing studio. Fully upgraded. Worked on this all week. It's badass, folks. Badass. Hey, listen, you got to be the big time. You got to look like the big time, right? All right. Start off this podcast with a very unfortunate update. I can't believe I have to say this is I have to go to the orthodontist on Wednesday in 2 days. I went to the dentist and she's like, I got bad news. I'm like, cavity? Like what's going on? She's like, no. She's like, your teeth on the bottom, your bottom teeth, they're crowding. What do you mean they're crowding? It's like they're too close together. They're hard to clean. You need to go see an orthodontist. I'm listen, folks, I'm 51 years old. I'm like, my teenage kids went to the orthodontist. And by the way, the cost of that, about lost my ass on that deal. Lost my ass on that deal. Expensive as hell. Now, me at 51, now I've got to go to the orthodontist and get fitted for some special retainer to make sure that my teeth don't crowd. This is beyond ridiculous. Then, of course, when I told them this, when I was scheduling my orthodontist appointment, they're like, oh no, 30% of our patient population's over 50. I'm like, get out of here. Orthodontist is for teenagers. And I never went as a teenager because I was dirt poor. I didn't have any insurance. Look how my teeth didn't fall out, much less need an orthodontist. You need to have teeth to go to an orthodontist. Wow. So that's my big health update. Going to the orthodontist in 2 days. Can't wait for that one. Okay, what are we talking about today? We're talking about dirty little tricks at deposition. Dirty little tricks. Now, on this podcast, we've gone over several of these, but I thought we'd maybe dedicate an episode to these. Because listen, you got to teach your witnesses the dirty little tricks. Okay? Because there are dirty little tricks out there. You know what I'm talking about. I'm going to go over my list of them. I think I got it all covered. But, there's always some new ones. There's always some new ones that you got to watch out for. Right? And what I mean by dirty little trick is the witness is being deposed and, plaintiff's counsel doesn't really like the answers that they're getting. So what does plaintiff's counsel do? Dirty little tricks. Dirty little tricks. Now, oh, by the way, I got, as part of my podcast remodeling here, standing desk. Holy shit. What a lifesaver. Life changer. The standing desk. Look at this. I could do some jogging in place during the podcast. This is freaking phenomenal, folks. Freaking phenomenal. Get yourself a standing desk. Because that sitting was just crushing my hips, my back. Not good. Not good. Okay, there's another health update right there. 2 health updates. 2 Kanasky health updates in the first 3 minutes of this podcast. Never disappoint, folks. Okay, dirty little tricks. In no particular order. Number 1 and ranked number 1, because this happens a lot. I think this happens in every single dep. You know it. I know it. Repetition of questions. Now, us big guys in psychology, we call this repetition negative reinforcement. It's a persistent negative stimulus, and your brain wants to get rid of it. So what does your brain want to do? It wants to start talking. Or it says, enough of this shit, and it caves. Okay? Repetition of questions. It's a dirty little trick. Attorney asks the question. Witness answers the question honestly. Attorney doesn't like the answer. What do? They re-ask the question over and over. And the brain's like, I don't want to put up with this shit. How am I going to get rid of this persistent negative stimulus? Aha. I'm going to explain and give this questioner more to get them off my back. That's the trap. Or even worse, fine, I'll just give him what he wants. Just give him what he wants. And they cave. It works. So, big part of witness training. Got to prepare them for repeated questions because the brain automatically handles that. It just the brain already has a program for that. Problem is, it's the wrong program. How your brain deals with negative reinforcement in real life is not the way we want it to be dealt with at deposition. So we got to watch out for repeated questions. Dirty little trick. All right. I'm going to be like cruising through these because there's a lot of them. There's a lot of dirty little tricks out there, folks. Next one. Get the witness on the yes train. And where does the yes train go? It goes to Yesville. And there's no stopping once you get on the yes train. So this dirty little trick, this is very clever, okay, is you get the witness in an agreement pattern, meaning you sequence the questions and you make them easy factual questions, which forces the witness to say yes. And then once you string together 8 or 9 or 10 of those, your witness is like a bobblehead doll, just sitting there going, yes, 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 and it's over. And then they're going to put the really important questions right after that sequence, right? And the human brain will develop something we call, again, what us big guys in psychology call cognitive momentum. And their momentum will carry them over into subsequent questions. They will keep saying yes and go right to Yesville on the yes train. Okay, completely preventable. But you got to rewire, like all this stuff, it's all brain rewiring. That's why it's so difficult. That's why we got a freaking podcast to talk about this stuff. If it was easy, I'd just write a book. Okay, beware of the yes train to Yesville. You got to train the witness. Listen, you tell the witness, if you say yes 2 or 3 times in a row, like ding, 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 like railroad crossing alarm signals should be going off in your brain. Okay? Okay? Because the trick or the trap, it's coming. It's going to be buried in there. It's going to be buried, and you got to be ready. But if you get that momentum going and your witness is going ahead, bobblehead doll, yes, 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 it's over. They will fall right into it. Another dirty little trick. This is a good one. And by the way, defense attorneys, you all use all these too when you I mean, let's not just sit here and pick on plaintiff attorneys. Defense counsel, you guys do the same stuff. And you tell me you do it in the middle of witness. You're like, yeah, I kind of do that too, and it works. Hey, it works. It's fine. Come one, come all to the litigation psychology podcast, folks. The next dirty little trick is the use of silence after an answer. Attorney asks question, witness answers question. And attorney just sits there and goes, taps their pen a little bit, shakes their head. You hear that? Like, listen to that. Here, I'll do it again, right? Oh man, that silence hurts. Silence hurts. And what does the witness do? They're like, shit, I don't like this silence. I'm going to fill it. And the witness starts talking. Defense attorneys, you use that one. I was with the defense attorney last week in Dallas, and he flat out told me, he's like, I use that one every time. It works every single time. Dirty little tricks. Hey, all's fair in love and war, folks. All right. What's our next dirty little trick? Oh, this is a tricky one. Asking for clarification on simple points. Okay. So again, attorney asks question, witness answers the question very directly. And the attorney counters with, well, Can you explain what you mean by that? Can you explain that? And the witness is like, I just explained it. And the attorney's like, I just want to understand this better. Can you explain that more to me? And rather than asking for like, okay, well, what specifically like are you asking me? Please ask me a more specific question, or can you clarify what you're looking for here? That would be the right thing to do as the witness. Instead, the witness just starts talking. They just start talking. They've answered the question clearly. It's a completely honest, legitimate answer. And the attorney says, well, can you explain that a little bit better? No, I can't. Ask me if you ask me another question, right? It's a battle. You got to be ready for stuff like this. Dirty little tricks. Next one on our list, and this is a classic. This is just a classic. It's been around for over 100 years. Being friendly. Being friendly. Hey, I'm not here to hurt you. I'm just here to gather facts. This ain't going to be so bad. And the attorney asks easy questions, appears to be interested in the witness's answers. And the witness brain's like, boy, this ain't so bad. Wow, this guy's kind of nice. God, maybe want to have a beer with this dude afterward. No, it's a trap. My grandmother told me you get a lot further, right? You get a lot further. You catch more of those flies with honey than you do vinegar. And so they pour on the honey. And then what does your witness do? Blah, 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 blah. They won't shut up. They won't shut up. That's a sales tactic, by the way. Any sales situation, car dealership, you're at the mall. Does anybody even go to the mall? Are there even malls? I think there's still a mall down the street. I'm not sure if anybody goes. But in sales situations, that's what they want to do. They're super nice and they want to get you talking. Get your guard down. Witness brain's coming into this step like, I don't want to screw this up. This is going to be the worst day of my life. And it's like, wow, this ain't so, this is easy. And then everything you taught them in your witness prep, out the window. Out the window. Okay. Be careful. Be careful with that friendly sales approach early, because that witness brain can fall right into that trap and then start chatting away with the attorney like they're long lost buddies. And in 30 minutes they'll be they'll be they'll be confessing to the Kennedy assassination. Good God. See, a lot of these things seem simple. They're actually highly sophisticated. Highly. Brain is highly susceptible to this stuff. All right, let's get back to my list. Oh, this is a great one. This is a big one with like corporate reps, C-level executives, anybody in management that's being deposed. Appeal to their ego. You build them up. Talking about those background questions with their CV, their resume, right? Their work history, all the awards they have won. This is great. Like if you're talking to a C-level executive, a physician, particularly a surgeon, right? The owner of a successful trucking company, the owner of any company. And they start going through the back. Oh, wow, that's really impressive. Oh, wow, look at this. Oh, wow, look at that. Oh, God, this is a very impressive resume, Mr. Smith. Wow. Wow, you're very accomplished. And then that brain's like, hell yeah, I am. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you're strutting, right? You're strutting, going, yeah. Mm-hmm. You're doing the Conor McGregor in the deposition. The Conor McGregor, right? They build up the witness's ego, and the witness's head is going to explode, right? And they become distracted. Now, So they kind of showcase your knowledge and all your background and stuff like that. Now the witness is distracted, number one. Number two, their ability to give an answer like, I don't know the answer to that question, or I don't understand that question, or I don't have a memory of that. I don't remember, I don't recall, is now gone. Because once you build up that ego, now you're like, right, omniscient, I'm the present, all knowing. You got to have an answer to everything. Okay. It's another way to get the witness not just comfortable, but kind of overly comfortable. Build up that CV. So you got to tell the witness, yeah, if they seem very, very impressed by your background, don't fall into this stuff, right? Expert witnesses, highly susceptible to this. Highly susceptible. Got to be careful with that stuff. That's a dirty little trick. Dirty little trick. All right, what's next on our list? Oh, this is dirty. This is nasty. Nasty. It's terrible. My uncle did this when I was a teenager. My grandmother had a pool table in her basement, and I was downstairs playing pool, and my uncle, he's like a second uncle, right? He's much older than me. And he comes down and we start talking. I hadn't seen him in a while. I barely remembered him. He's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm playing pool." And he said, "Well, really, I've never played before. Teach me how to play." I said, "Oh, okay, well." He's like, "What's the name of the game?" I said, "The name of the game's 8-ball." Right? So one of us breaks and then you get solids or I get stripes or vice versa. Right? And then the last period of the 8-ball. Right? You got to put the 8-ball in, that's how you win. But if you put the 8-ball in before the other balls, you lose, blah, blah, blah. I sat there like a freaking idiot explaining to my uncle how to play pool. And he sat there like, "Oh, really? Okay. Well, I think I can probably get the hang of this." And then he goes, I let him break first. Of course, he just runs the table and then puts the 8-ball in and goes, "Is that how you play?" And I'm like, "You son of a bitch." Schooled. I got schooled. He feigned. He faked it. He faked ignorance. He played dumb. And it was nice. And me, dumbass over here, dumbass. I think I was 14 years old. Everybody's a dumbass when they're 14. I was extra dumbass on this day. I taught him how to play. Hey, I'm going to help this guy. I'm going to help this guy. Yeah, but no, idiot. Dumb. Fell right into the trap. Happens during deposition. Witness gives a great answer. Attorney asks question. Witness gives a great answer. Attorney just sits there and says, "God, I'm just, I'm just not understanding this." And then what does the witness brain do? The witness brain goes, "Oh shit. Oh no, I'm not doing a very good job. This person's not understanding my answers. So what do I need to do? I need to talk more. I need to re-explain it. I need to volunteer information. I need to help this person understand." And then you're done. God, that's dirty. Dirty, dirty little trick. It works. It works. Gosh. Highly effective. Highly effective. Right? Well, we got a good list going here. I'm still on page 1 here. Let's see, what else do we got here? Got that. We got that. We got that. Okay, I think we're done with page 1. Whew. Couple more left. I'm not going to overline them today, but these are like the main ones. These are the main ones. And like, again, you could like tell your witness about this shit all day and it won't work. That's why we have a very complicated and sophisticated training program. I literally got to rewire the brain not to fall for this shit. Because everybody falls for it. Smart people fall. It doesn't matter who we are. Human brain's a human brain. All right. Next dirty little trick. Like my grandmother told me about the honey, right? She also told me about the vinegar. This is the standard, the vinegar, right? As Mike Tyson said it best, everybody's got a plan till they get punched in the face. So what does the attorney do? They stop being nice and they punch your witness right in the face. Now, they don't punch him in the face, literally. Figuratively, they punch him in the face. Witness brain, amygdala hijack. It's a threat. And your witness is fight, flight, or freeze. Using the emotional, survival, subcortical parts of the brain, where no logic is there. And they will start saying crazy things out of survival. That's why when your witness says something absolutely crazy and you're like, what the was that? Your witness was in survival mode and they said something nutty because their brain felt threatened. Okay, their brain felt threatened. So how do we solve that? Well, that is another complicated process that requires training, systematic desensitization. Got to desensitize the brain to aggression and those types of threats. This is both verbal and nonverbal. The attorney can have an aggressive tone. They could raise their voice. They could pound the table as they're asking. There's a plaintiff attorney in Indiana. Like he pounds the table as he's asking the question, and like shit is starting to fall off the table because the table is shaking, and the witness is like, "What the fuck?" Right? I mean, it's like some of these attorneys do that. Others take the honey route, right? Or sometimes you have a combination of back and forth. That's another tactic. Use both. Honey vinegar, honey vinegar, honey vinegar. Then the witness brain's all screwed up after that. Okay. They also do it non-verbally. The smirks, the eye rolls, the huffing and puffing, that look, the look, the I think you're full of shit look. It's the look I give my kids when they're bullshitting me. Where were you? I was at Johnny's. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, you were. Yeah, you were at Johnny's. Uh-huh. Yeah. Okay. I was born at night. I was born last night. And it works. It works. So they have to watch out for verbal and nonverbal threats. The problem is the brain has like a hair trigger for that. So you can't just tell. Here's the big problem. The like defense count, like you tell your witness, like, keep your cool. You keep your cool. They get mad at you, you're winning. You stay calm. And the witness is like, okay. Yeah, no, because the brain's not going to cooperate with that. No. Brain's hardwired to have that survival mechanism activated subcortically when there's a threat. You tell your witness this stuff all day, it doesn't work. Then your witness loses their shit, and then they're saying crazy things. So we have to watch out for vinegar. Now, the other thing is that using vinegar early on in a deposition is that's a great dirty little trick too, is using vinegar, but using it right up front, meaning really dirty little trick, which again, highly effective, is plaintiff's counsel starts the deposition, skips all the background stuff, and the first 5 questions are like up in your face negligence questions. Or edge reptile questions right out of the gate. And the witness is like, wait a second. Aren't you going to ask me about my resume, my CV, my work? I wasn't expecting this. The witness brain does not like surprises. So if you're a good cross-examiner, what do? You surprise the witness. And if the witness brain is not ready, it's going to fail. Hence why you have to, again, rewire the brain. This is why I spent half of my life working with witnesses. This is no easy task. Okay? So we got honey, we got our vinegar. A couple more left. Let's see here. Oh. This is a newer one. This could be the worst of the worst. Okay? The checkbox method. The checkbox method. So, wait, this has been catching on. I probably saw this 5 years ago, but now it's like happening more and more and more. Is the questioner, okay, typically plaintiff's counsel, comes in with key questions, typically reptilian edge questions, And they have them on sheets of paper. And the questions printed out on the sheet of paper, and there's a yes box and a no box. And they give it to the witness and they say, hey, here's the question. I'll read it to you. Now, put your initials in the yes box or the no box. So some defense counsel have told me they would never allow that. And they object and instruct the witness not to answer like that on paper. Other defense counsel have told me, no, in this venue, they could totally get away with that. So I teach witnesses to draw a third box and label it, it depends, or not necessarily, and put your initials in that one. Dirty, dirty little trick, right? Now, another dirty little trick related to this is that they have the initials of the previous witness already in the box. So they say, okay, like you're the third witness I've deposed in this case. I deposed both of your supervisors. Now, here's the question. Here's the answer boxes, yes or no. Put your initials. Now you can see where your two supervisors initialed in the yes box, but you can put your initials wherever you want. Seriously? Like seriously? Really? You're gonna pull that? Like, come on. Yes, it happens, ladies and gentlemen. Happens a lot of that happens in trucking litigation and also happens in med mal litigation. Be careful of the checkbox system. Dirty, dirty, dirty little trick. All right, we're coming to the close here. All right. Asking okay, this one's come up that like since COVID's been over, everybody's got a short fuse. These questions, okay. Hey, asking the witness personal questions about their family, their children. Oh, wow. I've seen some witnesses' heads explode. They get pissed, very defensive. Now, these are legit questions, and defense attorneys ask plaintiffs and family members the same questions. And we all know these are legit questions. They're mostly for jury selection, right? Because we want to rule out jurors that have any conflict. And the questioner has a right to ask, those basic questions. Where do you live? How long have you lived there? Are you married? Oh, you are? What does your spouse do? Do they work or they stay home? Do you have kids? How old are they? They go to school? High school, middle school, which one? And a witness starts to hear these questions like F you. Go F yourself. This has nothing to do with this lawsuit, and no one talks about my kids or my, and then before you know it, amygdala hijack, rest of the dep is ruined. Cortisol, adrenaline pumping through the veins of the witness. They are complete amygdala hijack and cannot answer. They can't keep their head straight for the rest of the dep, and they lose their minds, and the dep goes to dog shit. They got to be prepared for these. I do this with every witness early, and they're like, they can ask me that. They can ask me where I live. It's like, yeah. They can ask me about my kids. Yeah, they can. Yeah, because we're gonna ask the plaintiff the very same questions. They can ask me where I go to church. Yeah. They can ask me where my spouse works. Yeah. So the witness has to get over that. They don't like it, but once you explain, so here's the way around it. Explain to them, it's irrelevant to the actual specifics of the case. It's very relevant to jury selection because we want to rule out any jurors that are not appropriate for this case. And so that information is important, number one. Number two, the plaintiff, their family, they're getting the same questions. Everybody gets these questions. It kind of normalizes it. They'll still be pissed off, but it'll bring them down a little bit. But man, I've seen some pretty bad reactions and witness prep when those questions come up. A lot of F-bombs flying. Okay. But they got to be ready for it. All right. Let's see. Last one. This is the last one. And I got this one from a defense attorney too. Defense attorneys do this all the time, but plaintiff attorneys do it too. It's when you're asking a question to the witness and you're holding a document as though you're reading from it and you're not. Oh, that's bad, folks. That's bad. You're holding up the document and you're like, and you ask the question like as you're reading the document. And so the witness is like, holy shit, what are they? Is that a company document? What are they reading? And the witness starts to panic, like, what the hell's this document? And then the witness gives the answer, and this is really advanced. Then the attorney looks a little surprised, looks back at the document. Are you sure that's your answer? And the witness is like, what the hell is going on? And what the hell is that document? That's a dirty little trick. Witness has to be ready for that. And say, if you're referring to the document you're holding, can I please look at it? Call their bluff. And if it is, they have to show it to the witness, right? Or they're just bullshitting the witness, which is what I've been told works. Several defense attorneys have told me at trial, when they're cross-examining a witness, they love to hold the deposition. And when they ask questions, they're kind of waving that deposition right in the air to pressure the witness, like, hey, I've got you, like, don't screw this up. Adding pressure. And the witness starts to second guess themselves. There you have it. I'm sure there's more dirty little tricks, but I think that covers most of them. And so, attorneys, it's important to go over this stuff with your witnesses. Because you could see any of those, you could see a combination of those. All right. But that's just, it's human nature. I call them dirty little trick. Everybody does. I mean, it's just, it's human communication. It's how the brain works. Okay. But it is tricky. It is tricky. And witnesses that are there to, they're there to tell the truth, and they're there to help the case or whatever. If they're unaware of these, they're going to fall into most of them. But even if they are aware of them, their brain may not be wired adequately or sufficiently to handle these tricks and traps. So that's why when I work with witnesses, that's why this is, again, it's no easy process. It's not a quick process, because I got to figure out, okay, I just read you 12 dirty little traps or whatever, tricks, traps. I got to figure out which ones of these is your witness most susceptible to. Some witnesses are more susceptible to these tricks and traps than others. And you got to figure that out and address it. Okay. All right. All right. What a great podcast. What a great podcast. And this is my first podcast in the new studio. This is really something. This is fantastic. So leave us a review, please. We don't have nearly enough reviews. If you hate the podcast, go ahead and leave a negative review. That's fine. But if you like it or you love it, please write a review. I think any feedback is important. We'll do some viewer mail coming up here in a couple weeks. We got that going on. Got some big guests coming on. Oh yeah, we got some big stuff coming up. And really looking forward to having some of these guests on, because I think having guests is important. It's cool. I like doing these solos sometimes. We're doing with Dr. Wood, but it's nice to have a guest on, get some different perspectives, do some Q&A. I think that's really fun. So thank you, everybody. We love our audience. Thank you again for listening to this edition of the Litigation Psychology Podcast, brought to you by Courtroom Sciences. We'll see you next time.